This is Michael McKeon, aka Morris Fletcher, aka Chuck McGill. You know who I am. But it's time for Inside the Gilliverse with Eric Broadbent.
You're watching Inside the Gilliverse, talking all things Breaking Bad, El Camino, and Better Call Saul. Brought to you by the Royal Baubles Collection at bobbleheads.com. For all your favorite characters from the Gilliverse, shop the Royal Baubles Collection at bobbleheads.com. Also brought to you by Rode Microphones, the official microphone supplier of Inside the Gilliverse. See their entire lineup today at Rode.com. Now please welcome your host, Eric Broadbent.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for Season 3, Episode 9 of Inside the Gilliverse, talking all things Breaking Bad, El Camino, and Better Call Saul. My name is Eric Broadbent, and it comes with extreme pleasure to welcome tonight's guest, writer of last week's incredible Better Call Saul episode, Axe and Grind, the lovely and talented Ariel Levine. I'm going to bring her onto the screen right now, and welcome to the Gilliverse, Ariel. How are you?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
It's fantastic. So you're telling me off the air, this is one of the very first, or at least a few live type of interviews you've done?
Yeah. There's always a, like a back button. There's always somebody be like, oh, no, don't say that. Don't do that.
Do it again. We don't have any safety nets. So there's not for me, nor for you. So let's fingers crossed. Let's see what happens.
No, we're going to have some fun. It'll be good.
You know, it's
not to be here.
It's not as bad as what it used to be. I obviously with you guys in the writers' room and the thick of COVID, and everyone's using the internet. And it was really bottlenecked at one time. I'm sure we're getting a little bit better. People are getting out, not really absorbing all this bandwidth. So I think we're a bit better tonight. We should be good.
Awesome.
We got lots of questions coming in already. This is going to be incredible. I have always a lot of questions prepared for our guests, for you in this case, but our fans come first, and we're having one come right in off the hop. This is from Uncle Davey from the Navy. I like that. That's a pretty cool handle. How much of the plot is determined before you write the episode? And are you, as a writer, involved in making those plot decisions?
That's a fun question. I love it. Starting off strong. Well, if you're talking about, the plot of the episode, we break it, the entire episode together as a writer's room. I'm sure you've seen, Tom Schnauz tweets out some of our boards. We write all the different beats out on index cards. He's a great resource. You should follow him. I'm sure you already do if you're watching this. We break them all together so we know exactly what's going to happen in the episode. And then I, in this case, as the writer, would go off to write it. And so, it's a very democratic process. So we're all sort of contributing equally.
That's awesome. Well, that's a question I was going to ask you right off the hop, and I know you've been asked this probably a million times, and one more probably won't hurt, but what was it like getting your first solo episode, and what were your thoughts when you found out you were going to have that one?
It's a dream come true. It was so much fun. This is, I've been incredibly lucky. This is my third episode, first solo episode. So the process isn't entirely different, isn't so different. I co-wrote the finale last season, episode 510 with Peter Gould. And I co-wrote episode 602 of this season with Tom. And so the process of breaking the episodes are, all the same. We're all sitting in a room or sitting in our own rooms and zooming in together, talking about the story, figuring out what's going to happen in the episode. And then you go off and either write the whole thing or half of it.
Now, did the final episodes ever get written in the room, or was it all strictly virtual writer's room for the whole season?
We had about, I want to say 2 weeks, maybe in person before we got locked down, and the rest of it was on Zoom.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Almost the entire...
we were... Sorry, go ahead.
No. It's almost the entire time virtual.
Yeah. It was an adjustment. I think we were lucky in the sense that, we all knew each other already. We were a room that's been together for many, many years. And, we all had that, we had that chemistry together. We knew each other. And so we're not getting to know each other only on Zoom. And I think I know there are some writers' rooms that had to do that. And I think that's definitely hard work.
Well, I know one of the things Tom had said when he's been on the show a few times, and Tom's coming back as a co-host soon, but he had mentioned the difficulties of shooting this and filming it, in a virtual writer's room, but also keeping the look. Like, you don't want, in the time of COVID, we don't want to show that there's anything different between last season and this season, when obviously you've gone through a pandemic and trying not to show that. Nothing has changed. And from what we've seen in 6 episodes so far, it doesn't appear that there's anything's changed in the world, in the Gilliverse world. It just, you don't know there's a pandemic going on. It challenges that, I would assume, right, in the filming process.
Yeah, I mean, I think there were definitely challenges, but safety was obviously our number one priority. And so we really kind of, wanted to make sure we told the story we wanted to tell, and ended the series right, while also making sure everybody was safe. So it was definitely a challenge, but like you said, I mean, it's a good thing, it doesn't look any different. So
that's good. That's good. Yeah, that's obviously to make it very transparent for sure. Here's a question coming in from Jonathan Tessier. He says, some of the fans think season 6 is maybe going at a bit of a slow pace. What are your thoughts on that? And my personal opinion, I don't think it is. And I think the story is really, really developing. And I mean, I think some people just want to see people knocked off and killed. I don't know why that is. They just want that pace, right? And it's sometimes what you don't see on screen is magic. But what are your thoughts? Do you feel it's going on a good pace? Do you think we're the mid-season finale coming up on Monday? What do you think the show is doing pace-wise right now?
I think I see, I've heard that before. People are saying that it's a little slow. I think it doesn't feel slow to me, where we wrote what felt organic and felt right. I think it's just a lot of building tension, and it's tension, it's more tension, it's more tension, it's more tension. And, something I really love about episode 606 is it really kind of feels, like, oh my God, how could there possibly, be cramming any more tension in here? And yep, here it is, and that I find is really interesting to watch. And hopefully others feel the same, even though there aren't any gunfights and, it's a lot of moving, it's a lot of, things shifting into place and people kind of characters being developed and, plans being set up and people being surprised and kind of anticipating what's coming next. It may feel slow, but I promise moves are being made, and I'm hoping everything is going to, be very satisfying.
Well, to argue that statement about going slow, what I found a few times, and I hate to do this, and I'm sure maybe you've done this watching your favorite shows on TV, anything that you can pause, which we can do on anything now. So I'll be watching the latest episode of Better Call Saul, and I don't get advanced screeners, so I don't know anything before the average public does. And I sometimes don't want to pause because I'll see how much is left in the episode. And then that kind of mentally says, okay, something's going to happen probably, right? But I find that the episode is over so fast, and what is it, like 55 minutes or whatever? What is a rough time? Somewhere in that neighborhood? Something like that? Yeah,
somewhere between like 42 and an hour, something like that.
Okay, so somewhere in that neighborhood. And it goes by so fast and you're like, So I don't feel that pace, you know what I mean? And sadly, I almost wish in a way, maybe I can speak for a few people. I don't want to say that necessarily for sure, but I wish it would go a little slow. We've only got 13 episodes, which is 3 more than normal, and it's coming fast.
Yeah. And then I'll also just add, part of what I also love about this show is that it's, so much of the drama comes from the journey. You're watching Jimmy become Saul, what he ends up.
Mm-hmm.
Where he becomes Saul Goodman. He becomes the type of lawyer who's going to say, why don't you just kill Badger? You said it, the end point, but you're watching the journey, and hopefully people feel the same way about this.
One of the things I loved in last week's episode as well, too, so we're starting to get the furniture in the front of the office, in front of Saul's office. Francesca's gone out and got, it just looks amazing. Plants, and you got like a beautiful desk, and then you see like clients putting out cigarettes in the sofa. It's just like,
I know, poor Francesca.
And you can see how she just goes, just loses that bubbly personality that she has, and just goes into the deepest parts of darkness.
Yeah.
Loses the soul.
Yeah. It's so, I was really excited to get to tell part of Francesca's journey. She's one of the biggest questions I had as a writer, was how do we, when we see Francesca for the first time in this timeline, in season 3 of this show, she's so nice and so earnest and so, kind and not jaded and, beaten down. She's so different. And, we're slowly but surely kind of showing how she gets to be the way she is, who hurt her. Well, now we see, and it's both the furniture and, and Saul, you see it's kind of a slippery slope.
You know something I feel feel sorry for. So after Breaking Bad, if Francesca goes back to the DMV, can you imagine bringing your grandmother in or something like that to get her license renewed or something like that, and you got Francesca that's been jaded by Saul Goodman? Imagine the service that she would give the poor elderly people. That would be too good.
Aw. Well, she'd be hopefully. I mean, she'd be efficient. No nonsense.
Yeah, for sure. Here's a question coming in from Courtney's reviews. Courtney says, loved Axe and Grind, and I'm so happy we got more Kim backstory. I heard that there was originally a different teaser planned. Can you tell us anything about that?
We did actually have a different teaser broken. I'm not sure how much I can go into what it was. It was sort of the story of, gonna maybe be the story of Kim making the choice to go to Albuquerque. And we, it was a really fun teaser. I like it. I liked it. But I think the teaser we ended up going with was better.
Okay. I didn't know about that.
I could tell this a little bit more about where her head is at, and, just about her character.
Good. Now I'm going to probably say this name wrong. Casa de Fuego asks, were you given any notes from Peter or Vince before writing the training videos, or did you have the premise and ran with it? And we'll talk more in depth about that later tonight too. But did you have any kind of notes from that team, from Peter or Vince, as you started to work into that?
Well, I mean, I always, Peter and Vince and Melissa Bernstein, our executive producer, they're all very involved in, in the training videos. I write them, they give notes, and all fantastic notes, very, very good notes. And and then we go off and work with our partners at Bankett and Sons. Dan Appel has directed them. He does a fantastic job. So it is as always a collaborative process.
You and I were talking off the air just before we went live, and we were talking about some of these as well too. And one of my favorites was No Picnic. I mean, I love the Kellermans. I mean, those characters are just brilliant. Nice to see them again in this season. And Julianne and Jeremy, I mean, they're just some of the greatest actors out there. And Jen Carroll, did she work on that one with you as well too?
That's right. Yeah, she directed them.
Fantastic.
She directed No Picnic.
Okay, great. That was fantastic. As I told you, I was so bummed because after that little episode aired, Tom and I had Julianne and Jeremy on Gilliverse here, and we had them in full character, and it was one of the greatest moments, in my thing of doing this. And we had technical problems, and it's one of those things where when you're having live shows, you just have to go with the flow. But they are coming back as well too, not in character this time, but both Jeremy and Julianne are coming back on the Gilliverse here this year. So we'll look forward to that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, that'll be a treat.
They're so fun. And you know what I loved about it? You probably didn't see it, but so obviously we're in the thick of COVID during that time. And they're the Kellermans, they're the married couple, and they're separated because of COVID. So Julianne is Betsy is on the main floor of the house, and Craig is on the bottom floor of the house. And she's like, Craig, you're supposed to, blah, 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 and it was done really well.
That's so cute.
Between Tom had sent them some notes, and we were all exchanging ideas back and forth. It was a lot of fun. Yeah.
No, they're professionals.
They're good.
I love it.
Yeah. Here's a question coming in again from Courtney's reviews. The painting in Saul's bathroom is Minerva and the Triumph of Jupiter. And in your episode, Mike mentioned Jupiter to Kaylee, and the Perry Como song has a reference to Jupiter as well. Is Jimmy Jupiter? There's some good sleuths out here in the Gilliverse, that's for sure.
Oh, wow. I have to say, I am so impressed with all of the Better Call Saul fans. You guys are have such attention to detail. It is, I mean, just the amount of detail that you guys pick up on is incredible. I'm in awe. I did not pick up on any of that. It is not intentional, but yeah, you know what? Yes. Let's say he's Jupiter.
Okay. Sure. There's been times some of our viewers have stumped Vince. I'm not kidding. Like Vince has been on a few times, and he's like, you know what? I did not know that. And he likes it. He likes it when he sees some of these people, stumping him, And he's a couple times he's actually said he was embarrassed because he's like, I should know the answer to that. I think I wrote that. And he forgets.
Yeah, I think the Perry Como song is not a song that I chose, but it works so well in that scene. It's just perfect. And I'll say that the stargazing with Jupiter was really what planet is near this constellation at this point in time.
Yeah.
And who doesn't want to make a gas giant joke?
Of course.
You can make Jonathan Banks, make a joke about farts.
Yeah.
You've really nailed it.
Speaking of him,
that's how you know you've made it.
He may not be the fellow or the actual person, but who would you say is more of the comic relief that you work with or that you just witness on a daily basis there? Is Jonathan one of them, or was there someone else that's more of a comic relief on set in between takes and getting everyone kind of in the zone?
I mean, I think, our entire cast are all, a bunch of, they're all amazing and they're all so nice and they have so much fun on set. I think they're also all professionals. And so there's, they're there, they're doing their job. I had a blast with Patrick Fabian when I was on set for season 5, working with him, and Ray Seahorn is fantastic. Bob Odenkirk is obviously, just
comic genius.
A comic genius. Exactly. Like they're all fantastic. I can't really.
No, you can't narrow one down. Yeah, for sure.
I really can't. I can say it wasn't me. That's for sure.
And Tom, I mean, Tom is Tom. I'm looking forward to him coming back as co-host, and I'm afraid at the same time because like I can take a good joke and I'm prepared for the funniest thing from left field, but sometimes he will surprise us. So did he ever do that when you were working with him as co-writing an episode? Was he very jovial? Was he kind of one-liners, or what was it like working with him?
What's it like working with Tom?
I'm sorry I even asked that, but
it is an experience.
Mm-hmm.
No, he is. I mean, Tom has been so good to me, and he's, so kind and generous in the room, and very, very funny. He can give a joke as well as he can take a joke, or take a joke as well as he can, dish it out. I think Tom is so wonderful.
Oh yeah. I'm pretty hard on him.
He was a pleasure to work with.
That's good. That's good to know. I'm very hard on him on Twitter as well too, and I try to be on purpose. Like I said to you, I said even when when I tagged you on Twitter, I said even when Tom's not around, Tom's always around. We just feel his presence.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, maybe we'll segue into this. This is the Tom thing for sure. Tom started this, and he talks about this when we take off into the Gilliverse on a weekend. We fly off into the Gilliverse, and it's wherever this place is, there's a smell. Okay. And Francesca, as we were talking about earlier, she had a really funny answer, and I won't tell you what she said, but I mean, it was like, if you could picture all the negativity and regret and just that front office of Saul Goodman's office, there was a smell there, of course. It probably smells like, we don't even want to know what that smells like. But the Gilliverse has a smell that smells like this and this. And it's Tom has a right answer, so I'm going to give you the opportunity to guess, and I'm going to let you know if you're right or wrong. As I think I might have told you off the air, like maybe an example, peanut butter and maybe jellyfish. I don't know. Peanut butter jelly, not jellyfish, but maybe jellyfish. So what do you think? What does it smell like in the Gilliverse?
So I have thought about this, and I was going to say something, quippy about how, like, they say that, astronauts say when they go off into space that it smells like, like metal, right? Like burning metal and like burnt cookies. But I think the Gilliverse smells like green tea and Sharpies. That's my guess. No, rats. Neither.
Okay. So it is, the actual correct answer is bacon and fear. So
bacon and fear. Okay.
If you go through Tom Schnauz,
care to elaborate why?
I'm not sure. I think Tom told me, but if you go through his timeline on Twitter, you're going to see bacon. I think he puts bacon on his cereal. He loves bacon and fear. So there's that. So if you if you put those together, I guess that's it. Vince got bacon and fear.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I would have thought Vince would have gotten fear.
I know.
Okay.
And fear can have a smell. You get scared, you get nervous. Sometimes it's like, no, that's not pleasant, right? So maybe that's where it came from. I don't know. Giancarlo Esposito said Tom Schnauz shoes. So. That
also very specific smell.
I fear that smell. Yeah, I do. I fear that smell, and I hope I never have to physically witness that, for sure. But I'm
sure it will surprise you. I'm sure they smell very sweet.
Yeah, I have a feeling.
I would know. I would not know, and I do not know.
That's a good disclaimer.
I'm trying to give Tom a compliment. Tell him I said that.
There you go. We're going to jump over to a segment where we have some audio questions. So we have several audio questions, voicemails that have come in, and we're going to start with our executive producer, Karina. She's got one for you, and these are always really good. Let me know if you can hear these. I'll mute my microphone. So the first one is from Karina for you.
Hi, Ariel. This is Karina. Let's talk about the origin of the earrings. They were a nice surprise. Do you think Kim still wears those earrings as a reminder to never become like her mother? What are your thoughts on that?
I love that question. I think I'll say one of my favorite things about this teaser is that we don't entirely know what's going on in Kim's head. She really knows how she feels about this, about these earrings, about, the fact that she stole them, the fact that, the kind of emotional roller coaster that she goes on in this teaser where she's, kind of shocked by her own actions and then kind of pleasantly surprised that her mom might be holding her accountable for those actions. And then kind of just crushed, when her mom reveals that it was kind of all a lie. I think there's definitely a part of her that's like, I don't want to be like, I don't want to be like this, and maybe a part of her thinks, I'm going to be better. Or maybe a part of her wants to remember the feeling that she had, the regret, the guilt, whatever she was feeling when she stole them. I think they represent a lot for her. And I think it's sort of up for us to decide.
We always give props to the casting team, and we talk about them greatly on the show and talk about incredible casting for Kim's mom. Oh my God. Yes. Beth Hoyt is incredible. I mean, Beth Hoyt and Katie Beth Hall, her mom and young Kim. Yes. I mean, our casting team really knocked it out of the park last season in 506 when they were first cast. Cause the way Beth talks, she sounds like Ray. There's times it's her mannerisms. It's incredible. I know there's times. Uncanny. Yeah. There's times where you could picture, Ray with a different wig and that's her. It's almost that good. It's unbelievable. The eyes, the face, it's incredible. It really is. Yeah. Yeah. Kudos to them once again. Question from another one from Uncle Davey from the Navy. Is your writing process factoring how a scene will look, or is that all the vision of the director? It's a very interesting question. I think, we do visualize how the scenes are going to look, when in the room, and then when we're writing it, sometimes we definitely picture, the beginning, at the end of the scene, and then the out of the scene. Although a lot of that, can change in production and can change based on a director's vision. I think it's a collaborative process as always, with the director. We sort of have an idea, and it's the director who comes in and gets to kind of build on that and help it really shine. And Giancarlo in this case did such a fantastic job with episode 6. I mean, wow. It turned out so much better than I even could have imagined. Fantastic. He did a really great job. For sure. I'm going to jump back to this second audio question. This one, I believe, is from Rugava. Rugava has fantastic questions as well, too. And this is his.
Hi, Ariel. I'm Raghava, and I really enjoyed the wonderfully written episode, Axe and Grind. I loved some of the scenes that mirrored moments from previous episodes. For example, in the first scene, we see young Kim and she's tapping her right foot frantically out of restlessness. We can immediately connect this to one of the previous episodes where Kim taps her right foot restlessly right before she meets Cliff. Another moment is when Kim is taken by surprise when she realizes her mom had been putting up a show in front of that shopkeeper and lets go of her hand. Very much the way she's shocked when she realizes she got played by Jimmy at the court when he says, "It's all good, man." What inspired you to create these beautiful parallels?
The beautiful parallels.
Very cool. Yeah. I think we have, I think Ray Seahorn especially, does a great job embodying this character, and, building on, the experiences that, this character's had in the past. I think she really knows how to kind of capture and bring us back to, what we've seen before, what she's experienced, what led her to this very moment. And so if she's, maybe, if we see in the past, she had that moment of kind of betrayal, where she drops her mom's hand. That's great that that you're seeing parallels in there. I don't know if we necessarily were thinking about that in the writing process, but I think that all goes to, all of our actors and our directors, creating kind of consistent characters who feel lived in and feel that they are, living in their experiences so that they feel like they're building on itself.
Well, great.
I don't know if that was a sentence, but hopefully that makes sense.
It does. It was a great question and a very good answer as well, too. We have our third and final voicemail question. This is from Lori, and we'll see what she has for you.
Hi there, Ariel. This is Lori. Congratulations on the excellent writing of the last episode. You brought out important events that set the wheels in motion for what's to come. I have a couple of things to ask you. The first being the unscripted coffee spill by Howard's wife. Did the crew look at this as a happy accident that happened during filming? My second question is, since you really weren't allowed to watch TV growing up, as an adult, have you made up for all that you didn't get to see? And what kind of shows or movies do you really like to watch now? Thanks very much.
So the unscripted coffee spill.
Yeah. I mean, I was not on set. I imagine, it happened. And then, Patrick did that, had that really great move, just wiping it up later. And that was just gold, that really does kind of, it's a perfect, punctuation on the end of the scene.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, ugh, she didn't even clean up her own coffee spill, like that is cold blooded.
And you could feel Patrick being wound up too a little. He's wound up a bit, isn't he?
Yeah. He's a pro, and Sandrine's great.
I should say Howard too. I shouldn't say Patrick, but Howard, I should say.
Patrick Howard, who knows where the man stops and the character begins.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like definitely, I would imagine it was a happy accident, or maybe, honestly, maybe Giancarlo, thought of it on the day, or Patrick thought of it on the day, or Sandrine thought of it on the day, and they did it and it worked out great. I don't know. But I can tell you it seemed like a happy accident to me. And I'm very, very glad that they ran with it, and that they made the most of it, because it's better than anything I came up with. And then as far as the TV question, I definitely have made every effort to watch as much TV as I possibly could, especially starting in college, when I kind of suddenly was like, oh my God, there's so much TV out there. It's so great. There's still holes, there's still gaps in my TV kind of repertoire.
Okay.
But I'm trying to make up for it. The pandemic has helped, giving me a little bit of time. And right now, I mean, there's still so much TV to watch. The list is never ending. Right now I'm watching Hacks, which is Hacks. Okay. Yeah. On HBO, Gene Smart, incredible. It is so good. Hacks has been really, really good. Just caught up. I know I'm a little bit behind For All Mankind on Apple.
Okay.
Fantastic. Barry, obviously, is really keeping up with that. There's so much TV to watch, and so much fantastic TV out there.
So you're making up for it.
I'm trying to slowly but surely.
I get scared right now because obviously I'm so into Better Call Saul, and I've binge watched everything again, like so many seasons again and again. I haven't watched Breaking Bad as many as some of our viewers have, but maybe 7 times through, and I think that's a fair amount. But I get scared sometimes looking at a season where it's like 5, 6, 7 seasons. I'm like, okay, I love TV. I love these kind of shows. Can I invest my time into like 5, 6 seasons? So a lot of times I'm just watching one-off movies, but I agree with you. There are a lot of good shows out there, really, really good shows. I mean, TV's getting better and better, and we always come back to Gilliverse. Everyone, the men and women in the writer's room, you guys really, really raise the bar for other shows. I mean, there's actors on a lot of other popular shows right now that are, really big, and they're all saying the exact same thing. Like, this is incredible. Like, it's brilliant. Like, I do think the bar has been raised so high.
I mean, it's good credit to, Vince and Peter and everybody, and, golden age of television.
Yeah.
And it's great. We all stand to benefit from there being better, more interesting, more diverse, more complicated stories, more resources with which to tell them. I only see positives in that. So that's great. And then I was a huge fan of Breaking Bad. I only temped on it for 2 weeks, so I was really only ever a fan, and still am a huge fan. And I mean, Breaking Bad is one of the, it's one of the reasons I wanted to be a writer, and I do still, I'm overdue for a Breaking Bad rewatch. I used to watch it in between seasons of Saul, just to like remind myself of what happens. And it holds up. It's so good. And I think it really does. It's one of those kind of like, tentpole, like, shows that really, I think, changed the landscape of TV. I as a fan, I can say that.
I agree. And I'm a musician, and you look at music, you want to have good music as being timeless, like a Led Zeppelin or a Van Halen Get those two bands, for example. It's a timeless piece of music. AC/DC, another good band for timeless music. You listen to it 30 years from now, and it sounds good right then. And Breaking Bad, I mean, Vince and the team have been very good for trying not to show too much technology. They're not showing like, hey, I'm going to Walter White didn't say I'm going to update my Facebook status. Like they don't try to show time type things. So that's really good, and it will always be timeless. But I think even when you go back and watch, just like the rest of us, like we always find something. It's like sometimes you need to, okay, I'm just going to focus on this corner only of the frame this whole time. I'm going to see just this, and there's always little things that we miss. It takes that review to find the things, and then someone else will tell you, did you see that? And you're like, no. How many times do you watch it? 7, and you still don't see it, but that's brilliant. Mm-hmm. Easter eggs.
Yeah, I used to have to. Yeah. When I would go back and do a Breaking Bad rewatch, I would sometimes, you do one pass and you'd watch it for dates.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, is there a date on this flyer? Is there a date on these divorce papers? Did a character say, okay, I'll see you next Thursday? Okay, did I, I'll see you on Monday? Or, remember that thing that happened 2 weeks ago? And you kind of, I had an Excel spreadsheet where I would input all of that to try and formulate like some kind of timeline. And it's hard. And I think that's something that all the other, amazing folks at Better Call Saul, we all try to work toward making sure that, we try to show as few dates as possible because we want, hopefully, Better Call Saul to feel timeless.
Mm-hmm.
We try and track how long things have happened. And we know that our fans are so diligent, that we want to make sure if anyone's looking there, it does check out. We're not perfect, but
yeah. Not only timeless, but if you said it's in 2006 here, and as it was 2004 in one of the next episodes, it's like, whoops, you don't want those situations like that. Yeah. Because they will get pointed out very quickly by the fans. It's amazing. Like, I swear some of these people should they should be working for the FBI or some kind of CIA or some kind of intelligence agency. They're really good. More questions coming in. That's the end of the audio questions. So we have a question from VPK5. Tell us a joke from the time toilet. Now, I was introduced to this time toilet book by, I think, Tom. Do you know much about the time toilet?
I know a little about the time toilet. What do you know about the time toilet?
Not enough. Not enough to carry this little bit that we're doing now. Do you know any jokes from it?
So time toilet, it was a little, a joke book that I created along with Valerie Chu, our writer assistant for this past season, which is filled with quotes of the day. Basically, at the end of every day in the writer's room, you'd send out your room notes with a quote from that day, just something that was said offhand, a little something fun at the end of the day. And we compiled every quote of the day from every day in the writer's room and put that into a little book. So it's kind of full of inside jokes. I would share it with you, but it feels, it's what happens in the room stays in the time toilet.
Oh, okay.
I will allow, if Tom wants to share any, he's welcome to. I think,
okay.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. That's totally fine. We'll ask Tom when he comes on here. And sometimes I'm afraid to even ask some of these questions. I really am. I don't, it's one of those, do you want to know the answer?
I'm sure it's more wholesome. It's more wholesome than you're picturing.
Yeah.
But we're all a bunch of dorks.
Yep. That says it all right there. That says it all right there. Now, here's a question from Cinnamon Nerd. I'm going to rephrase this because we obviously can't ask things that you guys can't give an answer to. So instead of asking this question, I'm going to hypothesize and say, so from Cinnamon Nerd, would you as a fan like to see a Gus Fring backstory do you think that would there's a lot of good I'm going to say this, there's a lot of good stories that aren't told yet in the Gilliverse, like Mike's backstory, Gus. Do you think Gus would have a nice backstory, and could it be enough to warrant a show? And that's a tricky slope.
I'm not sure. I think, we have some very complex characters, and I'm sure there are really interesting stories to be told with any of them. What was Mike's life like as a police officer, as a corrupt police officer? What was that like? What was Gus's childhood like? What was his, kind of his past? I mean, I could see interesting stories being told for any of our amazing characters.
And at the same time too, do we have enough? Like when we say goodbye here in the fall, do you think maybe this is a question for you, have the writers said enough? Has the story been told, in your opinion? You think it's not enough has been said, like without having to go into other stories, or?
I think we've done a good job. I think it's a interesting, complete story, but you never know. I mean, people thought that, Breaking Bad was done. There was no more to be said, but then here comes Saul Goodman, let's do a Saul Goodman spinoff.
Mm-hmm.
I certainly don't know. I love this universe. Or this Gilliverse.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be interested to see what happens next. Although I really feel very satisfied by what happens in the show.
One thing
that we're telling now.
Yeah, one thing I can respect greatly about Vince is, I mean, there's some shows I watch. I won't name the shows because I don't mean any disrespect to them, but they've gone maybe past their prime. And I'm sure you've watched some TV shows too. It's like, yeah, well, that was good. And even some of the greatest shows, sometimes there'll be a season it's just like, yikes, okay, you can almost skip over that season, go to the next one. But Vince doesn't really do that. Like he knows if, okay, we don't want to go out on a bad note. It's not like you're a rock band doing your 17th farewell tour, right? And you know when to get out on a high note. So that's admirable for sure.
Yeah, you sort of have to think about, like, why are you telling the story? Is it a story that deserves to be told? Is it something new, or is it because you can't leave the universe behind? So I think if there is, for the right reasons, if there's a story to be told, then great. If not, I think, a bittersweet, but definitely sweet ending would be good enough for me.
Good. I feel the same way as well too. A question from Guy Incognito. Jimmy only says two things in the whole teaser, I think: earrings, and a necklace, and no. Are there any lines you wrote for that got cut because the character chose not to talk?
No. Kim is deliberately, she's very internal. She does not speak much. Kim's lines are as scripted, and she crushed it. And she's definitely a pro, Katie Beth Hall.
Good. A question from our moderator, Renata Rodriguez. She says, how much creative freedom do you have in your writing? And do you have a sit-down meeting on a daily basis and go over your script with Peter and Vince? And how does that go?
Well, when it comes to, creative freedom, like, we do break the episodes in a fair amount of detail. Obviously, you're adding, you're the one, when they send you off to script, you are the one putting it all, onto the page. So, you're actually writing the dialogue. We come up with some of it as we're going along, but, you're putting it all together. And then, there is, we do have a sit down. This was on Zoom, but you get, verbal notes, when you sit down, you kind of go through everything. And, Vince and Peter are, fantastic teachers. They're always like, okay, so, like, let's talk about the best way to do this. Let's see, maybe this might be clearer, maybe X, Y, and Z, and that's the notes process it's intense, but a really excellent learning opportunity.
Tom,
it's intense is not the right word. I don't want to make that.
I get it. Tom's always talked to a lot of the other writers that have been on the show here too about the proverbial painting yourself into a corner. And that's sometimes fun and sometimes a real challenge. Without giving too much away of what's either coming in season 6 or maybe what's happened already, which we'll try to focus on what's happened. Has there been any corners where you guys got painted into and had any kind of difficulty getting out of?
We've had many corners that we have painted ourselves into. I think the end of season 5, we were like, all right, well, what next? I think this whole, everything that's happening with all of our characters, we've got, Howard and, and then Jimmy and Kim, and you've got Gus and you've got Lalo and, on the whole Nacho's whole thing, when, I feel like Vince has said this before, when all of your characters are smart, and you want all of your characters to be smart, you're automatically kind of painting yourself into a little bit of a corner, because, while, you're thinking, okay, well, we want, this character can do this, but then, well, wouldn't this other character then do this? And, X, Y, and Z, you're sort of moving the chess pieces around, and it becomes kind of difficult because you don't want anybody to make a mistake just for the sake of making a mistake or for the sake of moving the plot forward. And so that does kind of make things difficult, but it's an interesting challenge.
I like how you said that about moving chess pieces. And I think that's one of the first times that's been said on here, because it is like that. And, someone like a Gus Fring is not going to make a careless mistake and show his hand and just be killed, or, well, he did, but I mean, not fast, right? Of course, it definitely wasn't a slip up, but a chess piece, that's a very good way to look at it. And you're not going to have a stupid mistake, so that's a very, very good analogy. This is from Karina, our executive producer. She says, is it hard to write an entire episode in 3 days?
I imagine yes. They gave us a little bit more time than that. Thankfully. Although I know people who work in network, and I know they have very fast turnarounds.
That's
but
good.
you when you have a deadline, you make it happen.
No matter what.
Yeah, it gets done.
Is there pressure sometimes? Like, has it ever come down to the wire where, like, and I know you wouldn't just, okay, we're going to do this just because, but is there some, every job has its high pressure moments. Is there things like that happening, like where it's like the episode's got to be done and it's not 100% done? Like, do you have pressure moments like that?
There's always, you guys have air dates, sometimes you don't, I guess, but, we are afforded a lot of time by our partners at AMC. And we were able to, especially with this last season, really take our time. I know sometimes we do want to keep on pace, at a certain point, you kind of, excuse my French, shit or get off the pot.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about things in a room, you have to kind of keep things moving. And, we've never felt like we were settling on anything. It's really more, yes, this feels right. Okay, gut check. Is this right? Are there any questions? No, great. Let's move forward. You have to kind of move forward confidently when it's time to move forward, because of it, you have a lot of time, but you don't have infinite time.
Well said.
We're sorry for taking as much time as we took, but hopefully it'll be worth it.
I think so, and I hope so as well too. And we always try to issue some spoiler alerts here as well too. And obviously this is a couple episodes back, but what were your thoughts on the departure of one of our favorites, beloved characters there a couple episodes back? And that must have been a tough moment for the cast and crew.
I've always been a huge Nacho fan, and it was, such a hard ending to break. And I assume for Gordon, a very hard ending to write and then to shoot. Mando crushed it, obviously, and I think, it feels right. He did it for his dad. Mm-hmm. We talked about it at length in the room. Were there any other moves he could have made? Literally any other moves, and it was very, I think for me personally, it's uncomfortable because you're like, God, you don't want this person to die. There has to be a way out. There has to be. And we kept coming back to, no, there's no way to protect Dad. And Dad is, there's no point if you can't keep Dad safe. And so this was the only way.
That's right. When he talked to his dad on the phone, even though he knew right then and there was no coming back from that, that was tough, saying goodbye for the last time, and his dad, whether you could kind of feel his dad knew, but it's almost like, goodbye, son, and maybe we'll talk again. And that was tough, because in almost all these shows, there's always a happy ending sometimes. And it's like, okay, maybe something can happen and he's not going to die. And that's what makes it so impactful, and he did. That send-off was one of the greatest scenes in television. There's some great scenes, but that's memorable, and that's a gut feeling. And even though we felt it, and the introduction when Bolsa's saying you're going to die today, so he's prefacing he's going to die, and you're always thinking there's some magic, and then boom, and I think a lot of people felt that shot around the world.
Yeah,
that was a tough.
Nacho will live forever in our hearts.
Yeah. For sure. And he's got to be just a pleasure to work with. We've had Michael on the show a couple of times here, and it's just a pleasure to talk with, as himself. He must be a joy to work with on set.
He's great. He's so great. And he's so passionate, about the character and about getting into the character's head. He's a lot of fun. I remember, working with him in, season 5 and 510, he was so great, with all the tense stuff in Lalo's house. And I'm a huge fan.
Awesome. You talked about this a little bit about a slight bit of Breaking Bad work. Casa de Fuego says, what was your journey into the Better Call Saul writer's room? And that's a good question.
So it started with a job I did not get. So I went to college with with Jen Carroll, who's one of our producers on Better Call Saul. She was the script coordinator on Breaking Bad at the time, and she got me an interview to be the post PA in season 5B of Breaking Bad, and I did not get that position. But I guess they liked me, and so later in the season, when they needed an extra pair of hands, they called me up and said, "Hey, are you still available? Would you like to kind of, pick up lunches and answer phone calls and, distribute scripts and whatnot?" And I was like, absolutely, yes. And it was surreal. It was absolutely surreal. I remember apparently I was there. So I was there when they were breaking the final episode of the series. And apparently this is true. I am in the background of the Breaking Bad documentary looking kind of like a deer in the headlights when they're breaking the last episode and they're all like toasting champagne. And I'm like, how did I end up here? This is my first job on scripted television. I don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like trying to look at the boards to see what happens, but I don't want to look at the boards because I don't want spoilers. I'm a huge fan. And in any case, when their post team went on to another show, they took me with them. And then when they went on to Better Call Saul, I once again went with them. And so I started in season 1 as a post PA on Better Call Saul, was promoted to writer's PA in season 2, writer's assistant in season 3, and then wrote my first half episode in season 5, and then staffed in season 6.
Wow.
That's sort of the journey.
I have the utmost respect for the personal assistants. Like, I speak with on a regular basis, Joanna and Melissa, who've helped me out tremendously with the show here too. And I really love working with personal assistants because they know more so than management and agents and things like that. I mean, sometimes they know what time they're dropping off their kids at school, what they're eating for breakfast. So they're in my facility here. It's good to speak with them to facilitate my guests. So, and what they do is just amazing. So that's great. And that's probably something you'd recommend too. If a person has the opportunity to do that, if they want to be a writer, but they're given the opportunity as a personal assistant or a script assistant or whatever, I am assuming you would say, take that role if you can do it.
Absolutely. I mean, I think, these positions, whether it's a showrunner's assistant, like, Joanna or Melissa, or, a writer's assistant, which was my job, and like Valerie Chu, who's our writer's assistant this past season, script coordinator, like Kathleen Williams-Foshi, who's our script coordinator for the last several seasons. I mean, all of these jobs are, or should be, apprenticeships. They're in this opportunity to learn and grow. And, if you're, on Saul, at least, assistants, are on all the emails, when they're talking about approval. So we're, listening in on the communication between Burbank and Albuquerque. You're getting to, see the process of how things get chosen, props and sets and whatnot, and you're, as a writer's assistant, you're sitting in the room and you're literally listening and learning how to break story. You're gauging, how people pitch, how to contribute. And honestly, I mean, I think, it's the best training to be a staff writer, to be any kind of writer. I think a TV writer, if you want to be in a room, be an assistant. And then, showrunners and producers, promote your assistants.
Yes. Yes.
Like, they're in a position to know the show very well, to know, what's going on, to know the pitches, to know you, and to know what you like. And that's what I think what makes a good writer and a good TV writer.
They wear a lot of hats, many jobs in one.
Yeah,
for sure. Another good question from Courtney's review says, Kim's earrings are similar to the Zafiro stopper, not just in appearance, sharp, dagger-shaped gold objects, but in the critical moments they represent. Was that parallel intentional?
It was not.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But I love that. And, that's a very good point. Pun intended.
Yeah, I love that. That's a good one. Very good. Sometimes I'm slow. It actually took me about 30 seconds to catch that. Cinema Nerd says, were there any interesting stories about Giancarlo directing your episode?
Giancarlo is a force to be reckoned with.
Mm-hmm.
I can say, I remember, the first time he called me on my cell phone and left a voicemail for me. And I was like, oh my God, Gus is calling me. Everybody, like, be careful. And he's just a delight, and he has so much, energy and passion. I was very sad that I couldn't, be on the ground in Albuquerque with him, but, so I don't have more stories.
That's okay. That's okay.
Great.
It would have been great if you called you and he left a voicemail at the very end just to save it, just to show your friends, if you said, try our famous Spice Girls, that'd be pretty cool.
Right?
Exactly.
Oh man, I want some Spice Girls.
I do too, actually. I am quite hungry tonight. This is a question from Gabriel. Says, working in a well-established universe with an established style, have the episodes you've written surprised you, the acting or the directing choices?
I'm always surprised by what our actors and directors add, to our scripts. There are always moments where I'm like, oh, that's not what I was picturing, but yeah, great. Like, like the coffee spill, is one of the great things, I can say, in season 5, when Kim is having that conversation with Howard, and he's kind of, questioning her, he's warning her about Jimmy, and then she bursts out laughing. And that was a really, it was scripted, but, the intensity and the, her laugh was wonderful. So I think, there are always going to be moments that surprise you. But, like this person says, I'm so sorry, I've already forgotten
that was from Gabriel.
What's the username?
Gabriel.
Yes, Gabriel. Like Gabriel says, this is a show with very established, visual, storytelling style and visual style. And so while we definitely play with it a little, I think things do stay consistent. There's a house style.
Okay. So, yeah. And with both Giancarlo and Ray both doing their directorial debuts this year, do they shadow other directors at all? Do they work with them a little bit leading up to their episodes, or is it just kind of, I don't want to say caution thrown to the wind, but how do they kind of break that into the directorial role?
You will have to ask them. I'm sure they'll have a better answer for you than I have. I will say, they're both excellent directors. I know Ray is very present and has been shadowing people, and it's, she definitely knew what she was doing.
Mm-hmm.
I know Giancarlo's directed a number of features. And then we have an excellent support system and team in Albuquerque as well. Melissa Bernstein, who's our executive producer, is always on set. Michael Morris is our, producing on an EP this season as well. And he's directed for us last season and this season. And he's great, and he's there as a resource too.
Good.
I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay. No,
I wish I knew too.
Yeah, I know. That's fine. That's fine. For another one from
waiting for the memoir.
No problem. From VPK5. I love the training with Kim Wexler. How did you come up with the idea?
Yeah. Thank you. That one was really fun to write. That was just, we were like, who should the training videos feature this season? And I knew I wanted a, Kim centric season, and that it made sense that it would be law focused, law centric, and legal ethics just seemed like some fun fun world to play in, and yeah, it was a lot of fun to write, and a lot of pun opportunities, and obviously Ray made it really great.
Well, that's good. Well, you've talked about binge watching some TV and catching up on a lot of different things. Outside of writing, binge watching TV, what about other hobbies? What kind of what comes your way that makes you happy?
Oh man, do I have hobbies?
Or do you have time for them?
I just so my partner and I just adopted a puppy.
Oh.
Husband. Yeah, he's 12 weeks old now. His name is Queso. So he's that's been taking up a lot of my time. He is screaming from the other room right now. I don't know if you can hear him. That's why I have the headphones on.
Yeah.
He's a little land shark. Other than that, reading, we play a lot of board games, a lot of video games.
Okay.
I don't know if there are any gamers here tonight.
What games? What games?
So I just finished Horizon Forbidden West. I'm a huge fan of the Horizon Zero Dawn, Forbidden West, Last of Us, The Last of Us 2, Mass Effect, Dragon Age. I like the really story focused games. I'm not a very good video game player.
Mm-hmm.
But I like, I tried Portal recently.
Okay.
And I really expected to be better at it than I was. And I think I got a little frustrated. I was like, damn it, why can't I make my brain work to like,
yeah.
I could never quite, I figured it out, but at what cost?
There you go. My son showed me the Portal. He plays that game a lot too, and it's in concept it seems easy, but I mean I would die in 2 seconds if I tried it. But cool.
I should have the confidence. It's like you have to jump through something and like trust that you're gonna land, not in acid.
Yeah, or bring something through that portal that you need some kind of a tool. So grabbing a box, whatever, to get up onto another level. Yeah, it's a cool concept. But the dog, congratulations on the new adoption. So that's cool. And this is a great segue. This is from Renata, one of our moderators. She says, "Did you have any part in choosing that adorable dog at the vet, or that song choice by Duran Duran? Loved both."
The song choice was not me. But the dog also, I mean, we saw a couple of dogs, and Fernando was like, oh, Fernando, he's so cute. I died. I was so sad that I got my puppy now and not when we were shooting, so that I could have included his picture on the wall of
that would have been great.
Pets. My cat is on that wall though.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That's something I did not know. Very nice. Now, any other stuff?
I'm hoping there'll be a special feature so we can point out who, all the different crew pets.
No, we won't say, you don't have to answer who, but other staff have crew members and stuff have their animals on that board.
Yes.
Awesome. I can't wait to find out who. Okay, we won't spoil anything. That's cool. I see a couple, this was pointed out by Karina. She has a great eye. There's a couple shiny things on the top of your shelf back there. And they look like kind of little statues. I wonder what those may be. I want to talk about those a little bit. You don't have to bring one down.
Emmys?
Yes.
This is the only place that I can zoom in my house. And they happen to be there. I promise. It was this or a window with all the backlight. I've been very, very lucky. These are for the season 1 and 3 of the training videos. It is shocking and very, very exciting that they've been well received and have won some accolades. It's been very cool.
Well, congratulations! Congratulations!
Thank you.
And let's keep our fingers crossed this fall. Is it June or July when the nominations start? I forget. I talked about this with Michael Mando. I forget when it is, but let's just see, hopefully we see some Better Call Saul love this year in the Emmys.
I would love it. I think all of our actors deserve all of the love. Mm-hmm. I want Ray Seahorn to be
recognized
so bad. Like, come on, Academy.
I mean, she's nailing it again and again and again. I know Bob's champion for her, huge. Everyone is, just this is it. This is the final season, and what a way to go out. I mean, take that home with her, Yeah, but she's a good sport about it. I think
she deserves it.
She's a great sport.
If I had any say in it.
Yeah, I know.
I would.
Come on, everyone. Ray Seahorn for sure. This is probably our last question of the evening. This is from Angelo Bolanos. What is a good start to working with the writing staff on a TV show? So you kind of touch base on writer's assistant or script assistant, things like that, but any other suggestions you could give for someone wanting to get into the field? I do feel, working way up from being an assistant that was my path. I think there are many, many paths. I think that's the best training personally. I think it's there's, one thing to be a great writer. It's another thing to be great in a writer's room, which is a very collaborative environment. And so having that experience of, just getting to kind of be a fly on the wall, and then grow and participate and learn the room and figure out what it's like to pitch and be in a room, I think is really valuable. So if it were me, I would say, start off looking for PA jobs. If it's post PA is really great because, seeing the editorial process makes you a better writer. It made me a better writer, I think, and you get to kind of, if you ever want to be a showrunner and, you get to sit in on some editing, definitely do it, because that is a whole other skill that, if you're only a writer, you don't really know, but seeing how it all comes together is so valuable. And then you get to spend that one-on-one time with with the showrunners when they're sitting in the editorial bay. And that was really great for me. Start as a PA, continue to write every day. Work on your writing, in any position you have, treat it like it's the most, like it's definitely the job that you want and treasure and take it as a learning experience. Even if you're the office PA, a writer's PA, and you're getting lunches, there's still something to learn. There's still, let me, take the opportunity to learn everything there is to know about the show in case a question is asked, in case a research question is asked. I have that information for you, or remember everyone's lunch order, just be passionate about the job that you're doing. And hopefully people are going to listen and give you those opportunities. And they'll take note of that too. The more you remember it too, they're like, okay, she knows, he knows, exactly. That's great. That's great. As we wrap up, is there anything that you're at liberty to share with us as far as what's coming next for you? Do you have any irons in the fire that you would like to talk about?
Not really.
Okay.
Excited for everybody to see the rest of the season.
Okay.
And it's going to be a good time.
Fantastic. Well,
I don't know that much else.
That's okay. That's good. Well, we'll watch what happens. We'll watch you on social media. We've had our moderators here share your social links as well too. So we'll just keep following you very closely and see what you're up to, and whether it's a secret or not, or whatever you're doing, we'll see what's up to. We'll see. And before we go, just want to obviously thank you for your time tonight. It's been a pleasure to finally speak with you. And we're really looking forward to see what we have in these remaining. Well, we got the mid-season finale on Monday. Looking forward to that. So speaking of which, right after we'll be recapping next week on Friday. So and it's this Monday is Tom's episode. So Tom will be joining us next Friday with Danny and Lewis, the Salamanca twins. We'll be back on here, and that's just going to be. It's probably going to be a disaster. If you want to see a train wreck, then tune in next Friday when those guys get with us. It's just Tom. So we'll look forward to that. But I want to not only say thank you to you, I want to say thank you to our show sponsors, to Warren and Rachel at bobbleheads.com. I want to thank all of our people that run the show for me, Karina and Jen and Renata and Eamon. And again, tune in next week. And if you're new here tonight watching, I saw a couple new faces. Please consider hitting that subscribe button down below. And we will work just as hard to keep you as we did to get you as a subscriber. And we are renewing for season 4. We were thinking this was going to be it. We were going to exit as season 6 of Better Call Saul exited, but we are doing one more season. So we'll be carrying this on until early January. So we hope you enjoy that. And everyone, we hope you have a fun and safe weekend. And Ariel, I'll say goodbye to you off the air, okay? So don't go away. Everyone, we will see you soon. Come and see us next Friday. And until then, cheers.
Thanks again for tuning into Inside the Gilliverse with Eric Broadbent. Be sure to check back each week for more great discussions and interviews with cast and crew from Breaking Bad, El Camino, and Better Call Saul. Please like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends.